Ciao ragazzi, ciao Franco. Dave, how are you? Talk to you in a bit. Ciao ragazzi, ciao Leo, ciao Ale Korg, ciao Franco, come state? Tutto bene? Volevo aprire Pro Tools ma non ci riesco. Cioè non vedo Vincenzo. No, no, ragazzi, non è possibile. Fatemi controllare che vince. No, non è possibile. Io non so, non farei la diretta. Quasi quasi metto giù. No, è pazzesco. Scusate, mi sto intristendo. Ma non è possibile che non ci sia Vincenzo. Veramente ho dei seri dubbi se farla partire o no. Fatemi controllare se tra il pubblico c'è. Non c'è Vincenzo. Allora, bisogna dire la verità. Che Vincenzo questa mattina si è messo la sveglia alle addirittura 5 e mezza. L'avevo anche ripostato la sua story per vedere l'epic fail di questa mattina del mio Twitch live, della vostra mattina. Forse qualcun altro c'era di voi. Praticamente non funzionava una telecamera, si spegneva perché è una telecamera Sony che fa overheating, e perciò in poche parole epic fail. Poi a un certo punto l'audio non funzionava più. Insomma, ho capito cosa vuol dire essere uno youtuber. È difficile, cioè nel senso, la situazione, io che ho sempre fatto della situazione tecnica una cosa importante, ho capito che ero impreparato nel fare YouTubing, e adesso mi sto già attrezzando con delle telecamere più giuste che non fanno overheating della Canon, e in qualche modo imparando di più e leggendo di più il manuale dell'OBS. Eccolo Vincenzo, abbiamo parlato di te fino adesso, come stai? Che forse ti eri un po' addormentato perché ti sei svegliato prestissimo questa mattina. Vabbè, ragazzi, stamattina è stato bello, grazie Davide per le belle parole, ma in realtà è stato bello, ma c'erano, vabbè, non so se riesco a prendere la registrazione, la uploado su YouTube perché è giusto vedere anche gli epic fail e ogni tanto avevamo dei problemi. Esatto. Va bene. Tiriamo dentro Dave subito perché è da un po' che non lo sento. It's been a while, Dave, that I... Wait, let me see, Dave. Here you unable to join. Wow. Why you are unable? Are you both with Pensado and let me see with Pensado's place? What's your account actually? Because let me see. Let me see, Dave. Pensado. Oh oh. Dave. Why am not able to get you in? Okay. Let me try. Oh, it seems that you have like some kind of a. I can't bring you in. I can pin your comment. It's like if your webcam is not working or something, or your phone camera. Can you try maybe, I don't know, quitting the application and getting back in? Let me try again. Sorry guys. Let me try again. Dave. No. I can just pin your comment, but I can't bring you in. I'm having problems. I'm sorry to hear that. You want me to... Let me see. No. It's weird. Mike, ci sono problemi. Molti non riescono a condividere la fotocamera. Oh, ok. Dave, there's probably a general problem with Instagram that a lot of people are not able to share their camera. Try your iPad if you want to see if that works. Let me see if I can bring in someone else just to see if that is a general problem, because I saw, let me see. Sorry guys for the technical problems. Okay, let me see if I can bring in, let's say, no, it's actually, yeah, there is a problem. Let me see. Should I quit? Let me quit the, is this better? Let me see, Dave. Yeah, actually, yes, go live. What? You fixed it. Here we are. Waiting for Dave Pensado. Pensado's place. Yeah, no, I'm just. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, Dave, how are you?
Well, I wasn't set up to do the iPad. I've got 46%.
No
Give me
worries.
one quick second.
Yeah, take your time. Good to see you, by
Okay.
the way.
Huh?
Good to see you, by the way.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Wait,
Ah.
let me show my face.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, I take it back. It's not really good to
Okay,
see you.
okay,
The
that's
memories
perfect.
are better. Give me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just trying to get it situated so I can not have to hold it.
No worries. So, how are you? It's been what? Almost 7 days that I'm not checking on you. Are you still alive?
Uh, well, I mean, yeah, I'm really sorry because I was trying for 20, but I guess seven's enough.
Okay, that's
Let's
cool.
see. Yeah, but my head looks too big.
No, that's how it looks normally.
Man, I hate problems. I get like all excited and stuff.
So
Man, good to
listen.
see you, huh?
So how's been like the last like 7 to 10 days mixing? Are you getting like used to the room? Are you like what's happening?
Well, I'm getting more and more used to the room. There's nothing like, I've never been a guy that translates uh, quickly into a new space. It usually takes me 2 to 3 weeks, and I'm getting close to really being able to. You remember when you were first learning English, you would have to translate into Italian, formulate a thought,
In
then
my
translate
brain.
that thought to English and speak. Well, when my speakers are speaking to me in Italian, I I mean in English, I have to translate it to Italian, and then well, I have to form a thought, translate to Italian, and so it kills your creativity when you can't when you have to interpret what the speakers are saying rather than understand and speak the same language.
Do, do
That
you
was that
find
was a lot.
do you find that headphones are actually helping you more or actually not?
No, I think they're really helping a lot. I've been using some awe sounds and some oddities, and what I find is the more places I listen, the better my mixes are. So I'm set up here with three sets of speakers: my my Amphion's, my MTM's, IK's, and my Ref tones, and then I use Audio with my iPhone, and then I go out to the car, and
Oh
so
wow.
and so after that, I might have one of the guys, Nico Jackson or somebody, uh, drop by and check it out, and Nico's been a godsend. He really has I can't express you how much he's helped me during this time period. But I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I think
We,
that I think that don't mean to cut you off, but I think that it's fairly easy to get for somebody like you and I. It's fairly easy to get 85, 90% there, but that last 10% is a killer. It takes the last 10% takes more
do,
time than the first 90%.
do you think we should go back? Remember when we were setting up pirate radio station to transmit to the car the mix to go in the parking lot and listen to the mix, you know? So
Yeah,
we should
I
go.
did that. I was at Enterprise at the time, and I built a transmitter, and I got a letter from the FCC telling me to stop broadcasting. They'll allow you to broadcast
Yeah.
like maybe 200 feet, but I was going out 4 miles, 5 miles. I had an actual antenna on top of the studio. Ah, good
So
times.
So, what do you think is actually slowing you the most right now, apart from like listening through the speakers and having to interpret, what the speaker are saying?
And
The
it's it's
workflow, or
it's real simple, Michele. It's focus.
okay,
I struggled. I'm getting better. I'm about 95% where I want to be. Um, but focus is what's killing me. I'll sit down to work, and within 10, 15 minutes, my mind is wandering, and you know, I'm thinking about my family around the world, and lack of focus, you can't be creative. I mean, it's hard enough being creative, but when you got these things coming into your mind, and so what I had to do is I cut out watching any TV. So the only TV I watch is when I DVR a program. That way I can, if I even see the word "see" pop up anywhere, I fast forward. So I don't want to know, see, or hear anything about a virus. And then I spend a lot of time on the internet, probably 5, 6, 7 hours a day. I sleep about 5, 6 hours a day, and then I work the rest of the time. So it's not bad, you know. It's I'm living in the mountains right now, and it's beautiful. The air is clean, and I walk outside, and just it's rejuvenating, you know. I start my day with a cup of coffee from Ybor City, and like I've done every day of my life, almost literally. That's not an exaggeration. So, you know, I got nothing to complain about, Michaela. Your room looks spectacular. I'm telling you, it's growing like a mole on
That's a problem, you know. It's growing. I have to keep the growing controlled, you know, because you don't want to go back into some kind of growing like Fat Factory, because this is not Fat Factory. So this room cannot contain that level of craziness. So what I'm doing now is selling on Reverb, you know, small toys so that I can buy more toys. Basically, it's like a process, you know. It takes time, you know, to sell and then buy that.
You've already got more. I said you've already got more gear than Sweetwater. What the hell? What is the next?
But the thing is, a small room requires small toys. You know, a big room requires big toys. So I'm focusing only on desktop synths, desktop everything, you know, small interfaces, small toys. Nothing with 19 inches rack is allowed to come in the room, you know, because that, you know, means that you have to actually bring in a rack, you know, furniture or something. So, I mean, it's pretty wacky and crazy rules that I'm putting in, but you know, it works. You know, I have small. See, I'm surrounded just by small, you know, things. Everything is small, pedals or guitars or small, you know, things. Even it's actually out of my MPC, but it works. It's great. Great. And so everything is small. See, small faders, you know, everything is small. Small vocoder, you know. Small interface.
You know the rules, right? Maybe you know, like when you were new to America, I probably forgot to tell you this.
Don't be vulgar.
Yeah, I have to be. Everybody knows this, so it's not like I'm telling anybody anything they don't know. You always want the biggest boat, and you always want the most gear, and you always want the biggest penis. So it all goes hand in hand. Exactly. It's part of manhood. So stop that. You got to get some rack gear in there.
So do you have any particular like favorite new plugins or new gear? I mean, more probably digital gear that you're using in the last couple of weeks?
Does a fat baby fart?
What?
Yes. I just got crushed by Eventide. It's on sale for $40, I think, $39.99.
How is it? I didn't try it. Is it great?
I think it's really good. I've only had it for about 2 hours, and so far I'm really liking it. Other than that, I got Excalibur by Exponential Audio. I got that for $9.99. That's the one that does all the modulation stuff, like phase, flanger, and everything. And I'm really liking it. I have no clue how to use it, but I'm getting good stuff out of it with the presets. And that's about it. I've been focusing on a lot of the equipment that we used to talk about at the factory, and I never really dive deep into the process. You know, I can use a lot of stuff, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
As a professional, I enjoy that, and but there's some things that who knew? Like I've been using OTT forever, and I didn't realize there's a green and a black area where you can switch it. You know, stuff
Me
like
too.
that. And so it's a good for about for a big chunk of March. I was just I couldn't get out of bed. I was in real rough shape, and not because I was sick, but because I don't know, everything just got to me, you know. And then
Yeah.
I'm thinking, man, I'm not. My whole life is tied to music from birth. I mean, you know, my house was a house full of music. Mom was a seriously good musician, and that's all I know. And when that was taken away from me, I went into kind of a tailspin because I've never had that.
Mm-hmm.
And when Nico brought my Amphions in through the door, I got better instantly because now I knew that I could see it. I could see a pathway to normalcy. But the time has been really valuable in terms of I've probably downloaded 40 manuals in the last few weeks and watched. I'm sure you do too because I know you.
Yeah.
But I've probably watched an average of 5 tutorials a day for like 30, 40 days. You know, where I'm living, there's really not a lot of manicured lawns or anything because I don't have any neighbors or anything, and so I'm not really sure why I brought this up, but I've got weeds in my yard that are like 3 feet tall. But other than that,
But
I'm really.
you brought in a great topic that is instead of, I mean, when we are the fab in general talking about new plugins, a great topic could be really diving deeper into like plugins that we don't fully know all the functions, because that's what I'm doing too. You know, OVAX, you know, I mean, it's pretty fairly new OVAX.
Oh
So
man.
you don't know all the functions, but once you open the advanced mode in OVAX, it's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, like all the function, you can go deeper. And like you said, OTT too. I mean, I didn't, even if there's not a lot of knobs, even just by using those separate, you know, low, mid, and high, and then the expander versus, the. I mean, it's a small little plugin. It's actually free. Isn't it free? I think so. It's free, and it's great.
What's I was looking for some notes. What did you say was free?
OTT.
Yeah, it is free.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Steve Duda's a man. I don't think he's ever gone into a room that he wasn't the smartest man in the room. He's incredible.
Yeah. And also I was saying that I had enough like credits. I don't know why. Oh yeah, because I just bought, the Apollo, the new X4, that I was able to get the new retro, the latest two, the Avalon, the retro 176, 175, and also finally the Capital Chambers, and they're incredible plugins,
I told you.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
When you mess with it, when you mess with it, it's so crazy because like just start with the Al Schmidt setting. That's a great place to start.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And all of a sudden, you're hearing reverb, but the vocal is like going. It just goes in your face. It doesn't give you the sense of pushing the vocal back into the mix. It's incredible.
And also, you taught me about how wide it is, and it's wide without messing too much with the stereo, the stereo imaging. It's crazy.
Another thing that I've been trying to do is try, like, like I watch your stories, and I like it when you put your stereo bus plugins and everything, and
Thank you.
um, and sometimes I do screenshots so I can rip them off, but because
Hey,
I'm
come
too
on.
proud to walk across.
It's
I'm too
me
proud.
ripping you off. You know that, wait, before, don't mean to cut you off, but listen. So of all the Pensado presets I use, let me do a top three. So first of all, you know, Renaissance compressor, both the rap vocal, which is a must. Like, guys, we need, you know what we should upload the preset to some kind of mailing list, because people don't understand how great that preset is, you know. It's not only for rap vocals. It can work on any kind of almost, you know,
Yeah,
spoken,
yeah,
almost like, you know, vocal. And also the normal vocal preset inside the Renaissance compressor is great too. And I used that the other day. Secondarily,
yeah.
the preset on the Brower, what's the name? The stereo special. What's the name of the
Yeah.
stereo?
What is?
Yeah, I forgot. Whatever.
Yeah,
The basically the pan management, you know, plugin by Brower, Michael Brower. Your
yeah,
three presets, like one is like living on the edge, the other one is out of, you know, it's all playing with the edge word. All the three one, I
yeah.
always use those, you know, for specializing. Or and then wait, there's a third one that I always use. Which one? Okay, but this one is not public. This is a preset that you gave me while you were commenting on a mix that I was doing, and it's something on the Q3. And you told me something like, you know, in general, on every mix, get rid of a little bit of 10K or whatever, 2K. You gave me three frequencies on that particular mix, and it's actually a godsend, you know. It's those
Wow.
three, you know, typical frequencies that always adapt, and then you find yourself with too much 10K, but you don't think about it, because you always think about those crucial
Yeah.
frequencies, like, you know, the 1K for the vocals, the 2.5K for the guitars, and then the upper like 20, 30 that you go on the Massenburg, you know, and then the low end, the
Mhm.
250. But I never think about, I mean, I think about 6K for definition on a vocal, but I never thought about those frequencies you gave me, and they make a difference. You know, really, you know, it sounds
Thank
better.
You know what? I, I don't know if you do this or not, but I'm guessing that we all do this. Um, like, like, um, like I like to listen to. First of all, I like to listen to my friends because it's inspirational, and then sometimes I can, if I can't figure something out, I can just call them and ask them what they did. But like we know, like we know Manny has certain frequencies that he likes and doesn't like. But then you go to say Fabian Marasulo, he's got different frequencies, and I've got different frequencies. And you got, but we all end up kind of the same way. And not saying that we're all as good as the engineers I mentioned, but we tend to go, we tend to get to the same places in different ways.
Yeah,
And I think that's what's so much fun about our profession, is that you can revamp all your tools, and it's fun, you know. It's fun to come in and get ready. It's fun to get up and get ready to go to work, and you know, you've got new things and new concepts and um, new things to try. I think it keeps you fresh, you know. Like in your world, um, I'm sure that when you get a new synthesizer, you find one patch, you're like, oh man, that's incredible. And then you write a new song, and that song's a hit. It's like one new sound can trigger an entire
yeah.
production. And I think in the engineering space, it's not quite as dramatic, but we have the same thing too, you know.
So listen, Vincenzo is asking you. I mean, and it's such a big subject, but what's your favorite reverbs plugin?
Well, you know what? I'm embarrassed to say, but it changes.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm using the newer 2016 a lot with my go to my stereo room preset for vocals. I'm using Sonsig. I think I got Sonsig from you, didn't I? Yeah, I did. I got
Yeah.
Sonsig.
I mean, yeah, I
SONS,
just told you, you know. Yeah, yeah.
and I'm using that a lot. I'm using ROM by NI. Native Instruments. It was free for a while. RAUM. I love it. Um,
Oh yeah, I never used
um,
it.
I'm using Capital Chambers. I'm using EchoSon. I can't remember who does EchoSon. Is it Overloud or some that does EchoSon?
Yeah, no,
It's
it
just the
may be audio damage or something like that, or no, or another. Yeah, let me tell you for sure. I think it's overloud. You're right, overloud. Yeah.
yeah. I use that a lot. It's a delay unit that Pink Floyd used and Zeppelin used. I use Rematrix a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
um, I love the UAD RMX16 if I'm doing something that's not hip hop and that's not too
Mm-hmm.
pop. I go to Nashville a lot, and it seems to me that I hear the RMX16 on ambience on a lot of snares in Nashville. So that's my new stuff. Of course, there's oldies but goodies. All the Valhalla ones are great, from Shimmer to um, Vintage Verb, uh, Bricasti. I didn't actually bring my real one home, but um, I forget. Seventh Heaven is pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
That's real good. Um,
What about
what
all your
about you?
exponential
Name your new.
audio? All your exponential audio stuff.
Yeah, Symphony. I'm using Symphony a
Yeah.
lot. Thanks to Jason LaRocca. He stayed on me until I bought it.
Mm-hmm. You're always speaking highly about that, and you still have to get those. And also, my friend Pinaxa, is always using those exponential audio, and he's always raving about those. It seems like that great engineers love those. Great, but because they're also pretty technical, I think. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I think you're right. But the thing I like about, I think, maybe we could talk about. I'd love to hear your opinion because I'm sure it's better than mine. But why do we use reverb? When I first started engineering, I put reverb on things, but I didn't know why. And when I
I'm
go
still
back
at
and
that
listen to
level.
those,
I'm still at that
no,
level.
you're not. No, you're not.
With reverb,
I hear.
I'm pretty much almost at that. In fact, I so much respect people like you, or top engineers, that they use reverb creatively, in a way that, instead, to me, just simply for placing something. I don't want to hear too much in the front, or simply to place, but in a very basic and naive way. Or sometimes it's just creative, like in the sense that, long reverb, a la Valhalla Shimmer, and then putting after that a side chain to create a typical EDM, like, a long tail
Yeah,
that pumps up.
yeah,
But you could talk for what, 3 hours just about reverb, and I would listen to,
yeah,
because I don't know
yeah.
anything about reverb.
Well, I'll start you off. I'll start the listeners off, and if you're a pro like Michaela, don't get mad at me, because I want the new guys to get a little bit of opinions too. Um, we only have three ways to pan front to rear. We've got a pan knob to pan left to right, but if we want to pan front to rear, we have to either reduce the transients, reduce the top end, or put on a reverb that gives the brain a sense of space. So if you want reverb without a sense of space, you use a spring, you use a plate. If you want a sense of space, you want a reverb that emulates a room. And so the reason that Capital Chambers is so good is because it does that really well. And so sometimes you want the singer to not go back into the mix. It'll give you that. But at certain settings, you might want your, like say, your guitar to be perceived as being behind the singer but in front of the drums. And you can do that with quality reverbs that give you a sense of space. The other thing, I said one thing, but I lied. I'm going to give you another thing. The other thing that's real important is we've all learned this the hard way. You'll do a fade, and you do the fade at really high volume, and then you listen to it at regular volume, and it's too fast, because the amount of fade and the speed of the fade is a function of volume. I mean,
Yeah.
you're lowering the volume of the fade, so if you turn it up, it's going to sound like it lasts longer. But turn your reverbs up and try to put the tail in time. So if this is your beat, you don't want you don't want to end on a triplet or well, you might want to try that, but you always want your reverbs to be in time. And same thing with compression. If you over compress, you'll lengthen some of the drum sounds, and you're like, man, my whole mix is falling apart. It's because those two elements contribute so much to groove and feel. You have to master the start time and the end time. I always put my end times in end time, and every once in a while, going into a from a pre-chorus to a chorus, I might rush the tail a little bit just to give a little tension, but there's all kinds of techniques that reverb are good for. I like to use on an average mix, like on the mix I did for you, I had 7 different reverbs on that mix because they do different things. There's a theory that says you should always use the same reverb, but I think that's more for true live sounding music.
Exactly, live, yeah.
Yeah, but and then the other thing I see is you'll take several reverbs and you pan them all hard left, hard right. Don't do that, because there's only 3 sacred spots in the mix: left, right, and middle. And so whatever you put in the middle, you've got to really have a good decision. So you put the vocal, that's important. In the early days of stereo, they put the vocal off to the side, and it was kind of weird. And so don't take all your effects and pan them hard left and right, because you just create this cloud of mush in the middle. And the middle is hard to define because it's a phantom middle. There's no really middle speaker. It's a combination of the 2 side speakers. So it's a little fragile sometimes. And so you might put your guitar on the left and then put a stereo reverb to the right. And don't pan both channels of the stereo reverb hard, but find a spot and listen where it's sitting in the mix, and do that with everything. And sometimes I'll put a reverb on the left side that's just unique of the vocal. So the vocal will have at least two reverbs on it. One unique reverb hard left, one unique reverb hard right, and then I solo those and make sure that they're even and going good. And you can also use the same reverb but change some of the parameters and put one left, one right, and create a lot of movement. So reverb is a very, very good creative tool.
So not only that, you taught me, you and a lot of other engineers, but you made an art out of that, and to not simply use the reverb as it is, but maybe even tweak more before the send or after in other return the reverb, like distorting the send or overloading the send, or doing something just right after the reverb. Maybe, let's say, just simply, obviously, simple, from something as simple as EQing the reverb or delaying the reverb. We're doing crazy stuff. Can you expand a little bit more on that?
Yeah, for sure. I like to compress my reverbs, but I'll use essentially in Pro Tools. What you have the option to do is to pull up a plugin, and you have 2 different sides you can play with. And so I'll do that and compress the left and right side of the reverb a little bit differently, and then I'll put Devil Lock on the tail of a reverb before the compression. And you got to be real careful with that, because you can get a pile of mush real easy. But when you just barely crack the mix knob, it gives it such a great color. And then don't hesitate to play with the knobs. Like, even though you don't know what they do, it's a good time to train your ear for what they do. So just grab a knob and turn it wide open, see what it does, and then turn it back, and you can kind of start getting a feel for it. And then engineering in production and mixing is over time. You get these collections of colors. So when you first start, you paint everything in black and white, and then you figure out how to add a little yellow. And then after years, all these mistakes end up as a color that you can go back and reference. And then all the good things you can go back and reference, and you do that too much because they were good things, you know? And so sometimes it's good just to F around with things, you know? And I think I see you do that all the time where you can program a sound quicker than finding it through a preset. And that's a function of doing that for years and years and years and getting good sounds and bad sounds. I've seen you walk up to your Euro rack and create the most incredible kick and snare sound, and I'm like, hey man, give me a sample of that. And you're like, I do that. That's nothing.
Listen, while you were talking about panning front to rear, which is super interesting to me, you know, with reverb, you mentioned obviously transients, you know, and getting rid of transients if you want to bring the sound, you know, back, or the opposite. So can you expand a little bit more on that? And what we have now, probably 10 different plugins doing that, and we have multi-band transient modulators like Transgressor from Boss, but we also have the Involution, we also have all the SPL and stuff. How do you use those? You know, you overuse it, you love them, you hate them, you know.
So are you asking me philosophically why I do it, or
no?
Or
I mean, it was connected to the front to rear panning. So, I mean, how you do it, why you do it, and what's your favorite, and if you overuse it sometimes creatively for doing something, you know.
I overuse everything. I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of subtlety in music. I like people to react either positively or negatively, and I respect both. So what I tend to do is, for some reason, I like my mixes to have a little more feeling in the 4K up. The area from 2.5 to 4K is, if you can master that area, you can master any vocal, because it's like, oh, it sounded better. Oh, it went to crap. It's like so dangerous. You got to be careful, because if your monitoring's not good, you might put too much. But that's where a lot of the Fletcher Munson type energy is in a vocal. And so I like to have a little more top end available to me on the entire mix than a lot of mixers do. And if you're working with a 90s sounding hip hop track, you're probably not going to get any front to rear depth, but that's okay, because back then we worked in mono on most hip hop records, and we liked it real dark. So you got to have some high end to take off, is what I'm saying. If it's not there to take off, front to rear. And so you might just take a 6 dB per octave low pass filter, and you've seen me. I work and listen to music probably with my eyes closed 90% of the time, because I'm a very visual person also, and it just gives all my brain power to my ears, which are quite big, and so taking the top end off of something tends to not be a good thing to do. But if you do it sparingly and selectively, so if you try the filter and it doesn't work, try taking out some 4K, try taking out some 6K, and maybe even a little 2.5, and think to yourself like this: if you're in a gymnasium that's empty, there's a huge amount of reverb and echo and first reflections swirling around that room. If somebody's at the very back wall and you're at the very front, and he yells, just picture in your mind what happens. Well, what happens is the sound of him yelling has a direct path to your ears. And we call that first reflections, or either the direct, I don't know, some people have different names for that. But that gives you a feeling of the distance he is from you, because the high frequencies coming through the air tend to fall off. Now, his sound is going to hit kind of halfway up the wall, bounce over, and hit your ears. And those first and early reflections instead of first reflections, those early reflections gives you a lot of information about the space that he's in, and then you hear this big mushy reverb, and that gives you a feeling of the size of the space.
Yeah.
So when you think that way, it's easy to construct a space because you know how to use the tools and how they're labeled. And a lot of manufacturers think it's cute to change the name of the labels, and then you go to the manual and it says, well, depth control is actually increasing the size of the room. And I'm like, why don't you just say size, you know? But anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
And then that sometimes you can create an interesting effect by the right side of the signal removing some top end and the left side removing some transients, and then put a little tiny bit of pan on that and have them reverse at times, but have it very, very random, and that can give you a really, really, really good depth, because the way our hearing is designed is more designed to get away from things that want to eat us than to listen to great mixes. So the human mind gets bored real quick, and the more movement you can get into a mix, like one of the reasons that dubstep was so popular is that I call it the reggae beat, the eighth note, and so you're always interested, and you're always interested because your brain has got something to work on, and so a lot of the techniques I use are predicated on keeping the listener interested. And when I first started mixing, I did a lot of work for a famous artist at the time who just got off 3 #1 pop records, and I started with him, and I started with a guy named Phil Benton, and then my friend Ed C. And those were my 3 major influences on how I thought about things. And Paul said the most important part of the song is the first word of the first line of the first verse, because if they don't go past that, they ain't gonna hear your chorus.
Which is true for Spotify too now, actually. First 5 seconds.
Yeah. And so you want that to be kind of on the verses. You want intimacy. You want to feel like that singer is singing to you. So you don't use so many effects, and you don't use. If you do use reverbs, they're warm and surrounding and make you feel like you're hearing unicorns and butterflies and rainbows. I just had to throw that in. I don't know what that means, but anyway, someone gave me a compliment that they heard that in my mix one time, and man, I still trying to figure it out. I think it's a compliment. And then when you get to the pre-chorus, that's all about tension, and then when you get to the chorus, go nuts. I mean, if you listen to anything I've ever done, the choruses, I try to get them to explode, and I try to vision, well, the verse, I vision the singer with the spotlight on him or her, and that's all you can focus on. The band's dimly lit behind her. And then the chorus is like a stadium of people jumping up and down at a soccer game and chanting, or a football game, and I like my choruses to really explode. And then my favorite part of mixing is going from that explosion in the chorus back to the second verse. How to control the energy so that you don't lose everybody, and then you begin the process all over again of ramping up the energy, the tension, and get to the chorus.
Pensado's place is which you may know, is asking how important is room treatment when working from home. We actually spoke about this a lot the first time we spoke, but unfortunately, I was not even able to save our life. So, do we want to like just speak like super briefly about this? It's probably really it is really important.
I'm not an authority on room treatment because I had the luxury my entire career so far where I didn't have to worry about that, and I've always been blessed to work in great sounding studios. But this is my second home studio, and um, I hope you can understand this, but I hate working at home. Can I say that again? I
Yeah.
hate working at home. So I didn't elect to do some room treatment. But what you found with your studio and what I found is a lot of it is where you place your ears and where you place the speakers. And then what's in between can do all its damage and do all its good stuff. So I was lucky enough to find a spot where I'm sitting right now that I've got really pretty close. And then there's a plugin called a system, I should say, called Sonarworks.
Yeah, Sonarworks.
So so Nico and I ran that, and that changed everything. I mean, it really. And then I have a pair of Odysseys, the LCD X, and like I said, the AU sounds, all sounds. I had their top of the line headphones, and that helps me with stereo width and placement and reverb tails and all those kind of things. But if I want to just hear a drum track, loud enough to where I feel it, I'm okay. I think there's nothing like my room, at the studio that we are part of. There's nothing like that to me. It's my favorite room I've ever been in, and it's almost like I don't know. It's almost like I don't want to disrespect it and get too comfortable here, because when I go back, the room might go. Yeah. Come on, man. You left me here high and dry. Now you want me to work for you? Yeah. I don't want to get too accustomed to something else, because then I have to go back and get reaccustomed to my room. I don't want to do that. And by the way, as an aside, I got a feeling we'll be able to get back fairly soon.
Yeah,
reasonably.
I mean, maybe I would say 1 month, maybe. Who knows? No one knows, but maybe May, end of May, something like that, or maybe June. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I Am Genre Music is asking to you, do you have any mid-side mixing tips?
Wow, great question. In fact, give him $100, spare $100. I know you got it on you for.
Okay.
What a great
Plan
question.
it right now. Yeah. PayPal.
Yeah. I'm rambling so I can buy time to come up with an answer.
Because we don't have.
First of all, I do use it a lot. I use it a lot. It's why limit yourself to just each edge of a speaker? Why not go wider than a speaker? Increase your stereo image. We live in an earbud society. Why not take advantage of all that and give the listener an experience? I'll start backwards. I tend to use MS more on musical elements, things with notes in them, and, or with what we would call harmonic content. I don't tend to use it on 808s. I don't tend to use it on anything that I want to have a real powerful middle, but I do use it a lot. And over the years, I've gotten pretty good at it. But I don't. In terms of tips, I'm struggling to give you one. The BrainWorks was the first company that I really got comfortable using their MS, and I still think that they're one of the better MS companies. Matthew Lane over at Dr. MS. Huh?
Isotope 2,
Matthew Lane over at Dr. MS. I use his outboard gear every song. It's called Spacecraft.
Yeah.
And then his plugin called Dr. MS was one of the premier plugins for MS. And the reason I like that plugin is because not only can you make something wide and control it differently than you control the middle, but you can actually move the middle front to back a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, going back to front to back, if you've got the Plugin Alliance bundle, try the Fiedler EQ.
I know the feeling. You already spoke to me about it, and I still have to try it. You told me.
Yeah, remind me, because I want to send you a preset, because it took me like 5 hours of fiddling to get the Fiedler fiddling.
It's called Fiddler.
And,
yeah.
but MS is a great tool because let's say you started mixing with the music and drums first, and then you put your vocal in it. It doesn't have a place to sit. Well, you can take the frequencies in the vocal that are important to you, and take those frequencies and put those on the sides of your music track. So you have all your music going through one aux, or whatever you call it in your DAW. And so that gives you the ability to control all the music at one time. So take those frequencies out of the middle on the music aux and put them on the sides until you get your vocal to be sitting on top of the track, not get absorbed by the track. And so that's probably the way I use the most. In that situation, I usually use Brainworks V3 to do that. It gives me great EQ.
Yeah, digital EQ V3 with the mid-side option inside. Yeah,
V3. And then I use what other one do I use a lot?
You use Stereoizer from Nugent. Remember, you taught me about that. That's for background vocals, synths,
Yeah. Nugent's
and also
got so many good.
Also, a trick that I'm personally using regarding MS is doing a sub aux on the choruses only, where I assign something. And lately I'm using Vitamin from Waves for that, because in one plugin you have both, multi-band exciter and multi-band stereo imager, and actually it's pretty low on the CPU, so then I don't need to use a big isotope, Ozone 9 plugin just for that. And I assign just, let's say, keyboard parts or something I want to be like guitar parts that want to be highlighted, and I keep it like 10-15 dBs lower, like a parallel, and I just open that in the chorus so that suddenly the chorus has some elements that becomes more stereo and more excited in the mix, 10 dB lower, and that works really, really well.
I've done a little bit of that with Vitamin. Jack Joseph Puig, that's one of his favorite plugins, and so I forget about that plugin sometimes. It's so good. But you know what we should talk about, if it's okay with you? I don't want to take over the show, but
no worries.
You and I are
I think actually, sorry, Dave, we have 5 minutes, and then Instagram will cut us off after 1 hour. Switches off the.
Okay. Okay. Well, real quick, you and I have been using saturation as an EQ, and I think that a lot of people don't understand that when you use a distortion, when you use a harmonic generator, when you use saturation, you're adding harmonics, and harmonics can be octaves. So if you've got 100 cycles and you add some distortion or some saturation, you get 200, 400, 800. And then you can EQ with those. You can add more top end. You can take top end out, and experiment with that, and you'll find you get some good results. And don't leave the whole waveform. Take the part of the waveform that you. Are we off yet?
No, we're good. Yeah.
Just take the frequencies you want to alter. And high and low pass, so that's all you have left on a side chain, and then put a little bit of compression or RVox on that, and then go back to the original sound. Take those frequencies out a little bit, and then mix them back in with your saturated, compressed versions of those frequencies. Works great on vocals. It works great on guitar. It works great on anything that's got a lot of harmonic content.
I mean, I would say that Saturn basically does that for us, because you can split the bandwidth in how many, different, splices you want, and just maybe distort more from 200 to 500, or focusing more on the 808 sound, and then parallel that into back, so that's a great plugin to do that. Also, the hardware, and both the hardware and the software version of the Black Box XG2 that you own, both the hardware and the plugin. It's a great way of doing parallels on focusing on only a part of the band, the low, the mid, or the high. It's great. I use it. I still use it every day, basically, on all my mixes. It's great.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. It really is good.
Also, on Pro Tools, you get for free the saturation knob, which is, it's not as fancy as the other ones, but sometimes used in parallel or even mildly on a vocal, not even in parallel, it can impart a great, warmth to a sound. There's also the very hard to use but very complex and great sounding, the Melda, the multi-band distortion from Melda Productions, that every time we see the UI, we get scared. But if we once you have a little bit more patience and you go through it, it sounds incredible. There's so many more, that we're using every day.
You know what? Shout out to Melda. They work so hard and they're so good.
Yeah.
The two lo-fis, the Nembrini lo-fi and the Avid lo-fi,
and the Boss,
both really good. Yeah, and then Nembrini, I use the I think it's PSA, but it's a 1000.
Yeah, the Boss plug. Basically it's a bundle, of distortion. It's incredible. Yeah.
I use that a lot. The harmonics on that are really, really, really wonderful.
I'm a fan of Nembrini, by the way. He seems to be so great. He really nailed and captured all the small nuances about distortion, which is so hard in a digital domain, I mean, if we should speak to him and ask him to add to his lo-fi even the down bit and the down sample options that the Avid has, because the saturation and distortion are better to me. And we are talking about a plugin like Avid Lo-Fi that we probably use it since 15 years, almost on every mix. I love it.
Yeah, I got it when it came out. I can take a little bit of credit for it being my idea because I knew the president of the company at the time, and they freaked out. They're like, "We spent all this time getting hi-fi. Why would we need lo-fi?"
Because we love it.
Nowadays, how many times do you put a bit rate down to like 16 or 15 or 14? Like a lot of vocals sound better at a bit rate of 16 than 24.
100%.
And then
listen, even if you don't have lo-fi, sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but sometimes it's great to experiment with narrowing the bandwidth of every single instrument. Sometimes it's so much better because you are creating more space for everything else. Also, sometimes because not everyone has a C800G or a Neumann U47, sometimes microphones are so cheap that in the extreme parts of the bandwidth are actually creating more problems than something else.
100%.
Sometimes just by getting like a Q3 and filtering out from 16 to or even 14K, sometimes 12K, everything else, up, it's actually sounds better.
Do you ever pay attention to the fact that so many people listen to our music on a smartphone?
Yeah, I'm actually using Odreo every mix. I'm streaming my mix with Odreo on my phone. Yeah.
Me too.
We have 1 minute, and I have. It's actually scary. There's a countdown on the upper part of the window, reminding us like 1:15, 1:14. Wow, it's like.
Well, listen. Much love to you. I love you, and I have so much respect for you. And take it home.
Thank you for. Let's make it like every 2 weeks we do this, or every week we do this, because it's. If you want, because it's such a great. Even for me, you remind me stuff that you already told me, and I forget. And so now I can't wait to stop this and just go back to my computer and try all the things you said about the reverb, because reverb, I always underestimate the power of reverb.
Let's think about maybe doing one subject each week, each 2 weeks, one subject.
100%. Okay. Thank you very much for your time, Dave. Good speaking with you. Speak with you later. Bye bye. Thank you. Ragazzi, metto giù perché, come vedete, volevo introdurvi. I wanted to speak also with Jaime and Nico, but there's not enough time, so we'll speak with Jaime and Nico in the following days, probably. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for watching this. Hey, Eric.